aggression has massively increased since 2003 in particular. But the core, the sort of the precipitating event whereupon the West starts to become thinking it could do what it like, seems to have been the attack on the World Trade Center 9/11 in 2001. Now, my first question on this is, was it a false flag attack? And if so, who did it?
Well, there's just no question for those of us who are thinking the idea that these 19 hijackers led by a man in a cave in Afghanistan with
some of whom are still alive.
Yes, indeed, and the lead hijacker being Mohammed Atta, who was snorting cocaine, drinking booze, and hanging out with strippers.
Fly a plane in a million years.
I mean, it's such an insult. It's beggars belief that anyone bought that in the first place. It is indeed a false flag operation. The people that I would say we have absolute proof, beyond a doubt, which really indicts certain characters, and I think is very little talked about, is the purchase of the lease of the Twin Towers in the first place by Larry Silverstein and Frank Lowy. Now, these two billionaire Jewish businessmen bought buildings which financially were nothing but a liability. They were full of asbestos. They were full of asbestos. It had already been well documented that the cost of extracting the asbestos was in the billions. You couldn't just destroy the buildings because, of course, the buildings coming down would just release asbestos all throughout New York. So actually buying those buildings where it was publicly known that the cost of removing the asbestos was far more than any value.
More than the replacement cost, I believe.
Never mind the fact that half of the buildings were empty anyway. It was a dinosaur. It was a financial liability. And yet, two Jewish billionaires bought the lease on this. And then within 6 weeks, lo and behold, the buildings come down. And oh, by the way, in that period of 6 weeks, we doubled the insurance policy. If that was a Muslim, if it wasn't Larry Silverstein, if it was Mohammed, who was a Muslim who did that, we would all know about it and it would be obvious. No way would a Jewish billionaire businessman who's made billions in business buy a building that's a financial liability. He must have known, and of course he has direct contacts to his friend Netanyahu, war criminal that he is, and Jewish Zionist interests that have every kind of reason.
You mentioned the empty floors on the buildings, and there's no doubt that some of the floors were sealed in the weeks beforehand, and there were workers going in and out. And nobody never knows what they were up to.
Mossad front companies, Mossad agents that were caught on the day, some with explosives in vans. We can go on and on and on and on. It wasn't purely Israel. It wasn't purely. There were traitors in the U.S. as well.
Well, there you are. Ken O'Keefe is laying it on the line. The attack on 9/11, 2001 on the New York World Trade Center was done, it was instigated by Mossad. The Saudis were in there, the 28 redacted places of the report. That report, by the way, never told the truth. It never ever mentioned the collapse of Tower number 7, which wasn't even touched by an aeroplane. Anyway, let's stop there for a moment.